Ooh, that'll be fun. And Malachi, what did you pick for your nature and demeanor?
Nature is soldier, demeanor is survivor. It'll work out well if Tycho's calling the shots.
Yeah, yep, and we already went over the willpower gain back for that, so basically you accomplish things for your
You
demeanor.
mean cash voir?
Oh yeah, let's do a round. Um, Phaedra, what is your new character's name? The new clone's name, the new
I
identity.
What
have,
is your
I have no fucking clue. Come back to me.
I have no
what is your
fucking clue. Come
midnight
back to me. It's a
gnomon?
very interesting name, and we'll see how that works out. You're
Make it
able to
in.
change it at a later date if you wish. Um, all right, and then Tycho, you were saying
My midnight gnomon is cash voir.
nice, and Gretchen.
Um, upon Tycho's suggestion or Motorori's suggestion, depending if he wants it to be in character as well, he suggested that I change my last name to Anger. And Gretchen is a little bit just not 100% right now, so the best she could come up with was Greta. So her name is Greta Anger. So, and are we also doing that like Malachi is like Tycho's bodyguard and I'm like Phaedra's bodyguard? Is that how this like goes? Is that what we're thinking? Kind of sounds like that a little bit, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
mind having two bodyguards.
Her name is gonna be Petrie, like Petri dish, but it's just Petrie.
Nice.
Well, Malachi was going to go with Mel to keep things simple, but instead
Ah.
he's going to go with Walter.
Oh, okay.
We'll do Mel Walter. There we go. Because I hadn't thought of a last name yet. So, Mel Walter.
Oh, I like it. Solid. All right. So now that we've gotten through the main top section of the only thing that you're missing, Sire, you can put down. Let's see. So you picked a Ventru. So we're gonna go for Alexander. Uh,
Count.
Alexander so for Mel Walter, your sire is going to be Alexander uh, White Light. And it has like
Wait,
a
are you just making these up right now, or are we using those
yeah.
ones from the? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just making them up. And then Gretchen, you're a Bruja, so we're gonna go with um, Danny Smith.
Can his nickname be like Bones or something like that?
Yeah, Bones. I like
Something
it.
like Danny Bones or something.
Danny
Or Danny
Bones.
Smith or just Bones or like Razor or whatever. Like Danny Razor or something.
I like that.
Danny Razor Smith.
Tash, you're a Toreador, so you were embraced by Vanessa. Um, York. And Phaedra, you're a Nosferatu. Your sire is just known by the name
The shadow.
Shadow. I was about to say, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. It's Shadow. It's Shadow.
The shadow.
It's
We have to
exactly.
say it 3
shadow.
The
times.
Shadow.
The shadow.
I mean, he looked like a trustworthy fellow. I mean, what can we say? This is all Dead Gentleman Gamer jokes. People go watch it on the internet.
Go watch the
It
gamers.
is amazing. Watch the
Free to stream.
gamers.
Generation is going not to be picked out yet, and Chronicle is going to be Technogate 2000.
I put Technogate Vamps.
I realize now that we are creating NPC character sheets for people to use in the future.
Yeah, this could be a
Or
whole
PC.
module that I should make out.
Yeah.
The infiltration of play Technogate or play Mage of the Ascension first. You make your character sheet and then you. No, anyways, so next set you have is the step 2. Finally, we're going to be giving out some points here. You get 7 points to spend on one of your areas. So there's physical, social, and mental. One gets 7, one gets 5, one gets 3. Very similar to all the other World of Darkness games out there. I see Phaedra has filled hers out. So it looks like you have physical, so you're strong in strength, dexterity, 2 in stamina, so average stamina, solid charisma with 3, manipulation 2, and then mental is your primary, which is basically how most Nosferatu are built. So you have 4 in intelligence, making you extremely smart, 3 in perception, 3 in wits.
Yeah. And 0 in appearance. I had to make sure it's 0.
Yep, you have to knock it down 1. You don't get that point
I've-
back.
I have a question.
Yep.
What do we like? Because you said like the bodies are cloned. So like, do we have to roll certain attribute plus abilities to activate our powers, or are they separate like spheres?
They are specific to abilities and attributes.
Okay.
So if you're looking to be really good at your powers, which some powers don't have anything that kind of like celerity gives you dexterity basically if you're not using it for extra turns. So that is something that you can kind of take a look at, and during the character creation process, it is a good idea to just double check on your powers. So let's actually go through your guys' powers here real quick. So disciplines. So disciplines are chapter 4, page 127. And you will see the different the disciplines is underneath advantages. So one of the things, and we can kind of do this real quick here too, because like normally you'd go fill out all the other stuff, but if you want to know what to be good at with your skills, it is something that you can take into account in your character creation. Normally, I'm a person that wants to just worry about the role play, and then being good at your powers is secondary. But a lot of people are very stat driven, and if they have a power but they're not good at using it, it doesn't make sense to them. So let's just take a poke here real quick. So I know that we've got like Auspex for a few of you. The Auspex gives you. I mean, does anybody not know the 3 clan disciplines that they have? Do you want me to go over those again with you?
I mean, I know what mine are.
Yeah, as long as you know what yours are. So Auspex level 1 is heightened senses. This is lowers the difficulty on dice rolls for perception alertness, equal to the number of the character's Auspex rating when the power is engaged. So that's even more powerful than it used to be. That's awesome. So that's just, if you have heightened senses, you probably want to be good at perception and alertness as well. Um, Aura perception is perception plus empathy, difficulty of
Oh.
8. So that is.
What level of each of these powers do we get?
So you get 3 dots to distribute between all of your disciplines. So you could have 1 in each, or you can have 3 dots in one.
Oh wow.
So in the highest that you can go at this time will be 3. For simplicity's sake, we'll probably keep it at that cap even with freebie points. But level 3 is Spirit Touch, and that is dependent on perception and empathy. So if you have Auspex, you want to have empathy. Another one is Celerity. So Celerity gives you 1 dot. Technically, whenever you're rolling Dexterity, if you have a Celerity of 3 and a Dexterity of 3, you roll 6 dice plus whatever, if it's Dexterity plus Athletics or Dexterity plus Firearms, you would have 6 plus your Firearms. But you can also convert them for every blood point you spend, you get another action. And this can go above your generation limit.
But you can only get a number of actions extra equal to your celerity rating, correct?
Right. So if you have a celerity of 3, you can spend 3 actions or 3 blood points in order to get 3 actions. When you do this, though, you don't get that dex pool bonus anymore. So your dex goes from being 6 to 3, technically.
Yeah, and your actions have to be physical. I'm just reading it at the same time.
Right, yeah, everything's physical, not mental. It's kind of weird because you'd have to think at that speed, technically, but it's just to make sure you don't have like tons of magical power that's being shot off. Let's see. Next one is presence. And presence. God, so many rituals. Okay, presence. First level is awe. That's a charisma plus performance, difficulty of 7. Dread gaze is charisma plus intimidation. Enchantment, which these kind of speak for themselves, which is like awing people. You need like a group of people to follow you. So this is page 194. So a lot of you have presence. Level 3 enchantment is appearance plus empathy. So your main things you're looking for are, wow, so it's kind of all over the place. Charisma's pretty solid, of course. So it's charisma plus performance, charisma plus intimidation, and then appearance plus empathy.
As we know with this group, we never have a lot of empathy. We realize it too late.
I'm putting at least 2 dots into empathy.
I'm just saying, this is why I asked my question, because the way we normally make characters, it would not have worked.
So potence is the same thing as celerity, except for instead of extra actions, you can convert your strength into, or your potence into extra automatic successes on damage by spending blood. So normally it's just extra dice, but with let me double check to make sure that there's no minor changes that I'm forgetting about. Potence. Potence. Each dot a vampire has is 1 1 die for all strength-related dice rolls. Further, a player can spend 1 blood point and change his potence dice into an equal number of successes to all strength-related rolls for this. In melee and combat, brawling combat, successes from potence, either rolled or automatic, are applied to the damage result. But yeah, that's just a basic thing. Anyways, so actually it's only 1 blood point to turn all of your successes. So that one they keep as being 1 blood point, it looks like. Change all of your potence dice into automatic successes. Whereas celerity, it does take, if you have 5 celerity, it'll take 5 blood points in order to activate 5 extra actions. But that's how you become super strong. So we've already gone over potence, celerity we've gone over, presence we've gone over.
Which was the power that required empathy?
Presence. And Auspex.
Was that the second level power?
For Auspex? Yes.
Because I'm looking at, let's see, presence level 1 is charisma performance.
Oh, for presence, it's the first level, I believe. Awe. Or no, the 3rd level, I think, is empathy.
Entrancement. Yeah, appearance plus empathy.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how long we're going to be playing these characters, but they're also like sacrificial lambs. So I'm kind of going to min-max a little bit, which I don't tend to do normally.
I was gonna say the same thing. In terms of like a little bit of min max. In terms of I'm like kind of screw presence right now. I only have 3 dots. I'm not gonna use it at all. But I was gonna ask Mel Walters, what kind of uh weapons are you going to use? Because I was thinking of doing the opposite. Like I kind of wanted, like, should I go to celerity because you're not using guns, or should I do potent because I'll use like hand to hand combat stuff? What are you thinking?
I am building to shoot.
Okay,
I
so
expect to
maybe
use guns.
are you going fast though?
He didn't take a celerity character.
He didn't take a celerity character.
In
Thinking.
fact, I'm
Okay.
probably going to be better at shooting than he is. Despite the fact my strength is 1 though.
Alright, so Obfuscate is the other one. So you've got Cloak of Shadows. No roll is required as long as the character fulfills the criteria described above. So long as it remains quiet and motionless, virtually no one but another kindred with high enough Auspex rating will be able to see them. And so basically this goes into like if you have an Auspex rating equal to or greater than storytellers eating a die roll for animals, treat them as if they have Auspex 1. Typically, vampires using Obfuscate must be within a short range of their witnesses, approximately 5 yards or meters per dot of wits plus stealth. So you can't be super doing that, because one of the things is this is all about affecting the mind of the people around you. It's not necessarily... so there is a range on your Obfuscate. Cameras will penetrate it. Not to the person looking through the camera at that time, but if there is any kind of delay, then there would be, the processing of it. See here. So Cloak of Shadows is level 1. So unless they have a higher aspects rating equal to or greater, then they're not gonna be able to see you at all. Level 2 is unseen presence. No roll is required to use this power unless the character speaks, attacks, or otherwise draws attention to themselves. Storyteller should call for a wits plus stealth roll under any circumstances that might cause the character to reveal themselves. The difficulty of the roll depends on the situation. So speaking is taking steps in squeaking the floorboard might be 5, while wading through a pool of water would be difficulty 9. Mask of 1,000 Faces is manipulation plus performance, difficulty 7. And then you can, the higher the successes, the more complicated the transformation can be. Animalism. In case you change your mind and maybe want to level in animalism. Let's see here.
Oh, yeah, can we just pick different disciplines?
No.
Like, I have animalism as the Nosferatu.
Yeah, so this is directed at Phaedra's character. So level 1 is Feral Whispers. No roll is required to talk to animals, but the character must establish eye contact. Using commands requires a manipulation plus animal ken roll. The difficulty depends on the creature. So you can start commanding animals around. Level 2 is Beckon, which is a charisma plus survival. So you can do at 5 successes, all of the animals in the area respond to you. So you'd be like, every cat in how far out does this go? Determine only animals that can hear the cry will respond. So if you're in the middle of the woods, you can call every single wolf that there is to you, or coyote, or whatever that you want. Wolves might be dangerous, you know. You don't want to pull those.
Don't call the wolves.
Don't call the wolves. So that is a charisma plus survival, difficulty of 6. And then level 3 is Quell the Beast. Player rolls manipulation plus intimidation in forcing down the beast through fear or manipulation plus empathy to soothe it. Either case is difficulty 7. When a mortal's beast is cowed or soothed, she can no longer use or regain willpower. She ceases all struggle, whether mental or physical. She doesn't even defend herself if assaulted, though the storyteller may allow a willpower roll if the mortal believes herself is truly threatened. So you can just completely shut down a human, or you can stop a vampire from being in frenzy. Wait a minute. Though a vampire's beast cannot be cowed with this ability, the storyteller may allow it to use it to soothe. Variations of this power put a vampire out of frenzy. Yeah, okay. With 3 or more successes, it's taken for to do that. Okay, I was about to say. So you can't, like, basically you're able just to shut people down, animals, humans, all the way up to vampires, but at vampires you're not able just to shut them down. You're able to stop them from frenzying, though. All right, and Fortitude, I think, is the last one that we have. Any other power that I'm forgetting? You guys have access to?
Did you do dominate? I don't think I'm going to use
I
it.
did not do Dominate. And I'm at Dominate right now. So Dominate, level 1 is Command. The player rolls manipulation plus intimidation. Difficulty equals the target's current willpower points. Ooh, and that's current. More successes force the subject to act with greater vigor or for longer durations. Remember, too, that being commanded to or against one's nature confounds to the use of being told to sleep in the action of danger or attack. Police customarily may not have the desired effect, or indeed. So basically, if it goes against their nature and if it goes against what the hell is kind of going on, they might not listen to you. That's manipulation, intimidation. Then there's mesmerize. The player rolls manipulation plus leadership. Difficulty equal to the target's current willpower points. So this takes leadership. The number of successes determines how well the suggestion takes hold in the victim's subconscious. So you can verbally implant a false thought or hypnotic suggestion into the subject's subconscious. And then level 3 is forgetful mind, which allows you to wipe somebody's memory. That's a wits plus subterfuge. Difficulty equal to the target's current willpower points. One success would be able to remove a single memory, last 1 day. 2 is you may remove but not alter memory permanently. So you're able to remove memory permanently but not alter it permanently. Make slight changes to memory at 3, alter or remove entire scenes from the subject's memory at 4. May reconstruct entire periods of the subject's life. You also need to be equal to or lower than the generation of the person that you're trying, any vampire that you're trying to use dominate on. I believe that vampires can
Did you say what our generation was earlier and I missed it, or did we not pick that yet?
That is something that is something that comes in through backgrounds. So we'll get to backgrounds here in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so those were for just to help you know what kind of things that you want to pick here. So it's 7, 5, 3, and then it's 13, 9, 5 for your abilities. And the highest you can go is 3 for your abilities.
Hey, I'm looking at everybody's character sheets real quick. Malachi, if you click on the dots, there's a drop-down menu, and you just choose the one that you want.
Yeah, it's hard to do math that way, and so this was how I was like tallying and then counting them off where I want to put them.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't switched it yet.
All right.
I see what you're saying, yep.
I will not mess with other people's sheets then.
Oh, Fortitude is the last one, and Fortitude is every dot that you have of that can soak aggravated damage. And I don't know if there's a blood expenditure for it. Used to not have a blood expenditure for it, but let's see. Fortitude. Character's fortitude rating adds to his stamina for purposes of soaking normal damage. A character with this discipline may also use his dots and fortitude to soak aggravated damage. Though the kindred cannot normally soak things that vampire bites, werewolf claws, magical effects, fire, sunlight, massive physical trauma. Yep, so there is no blood expenditure for fortitude. You're just tough as fuck.
Hope we don't need to soak aggravated damage a lot.
Debating on whether I should put all 3 dots into obfuscate or put 2 and then do 1 animalism or potence?
I know this is so hard. Like, I want all the powers. I'm a mage. Why can't I have it all?
Like, I only care about 2 of the abilities.
Thematically, I'm kind of like between just like this general clone body and like mixing with like some vampire's blood I don't know. Like thematically for Gretchen, she's like basically like kind of turning into Hulk Hogan. So I kind of like lowered certain like mental stats. Like usually she's all like stealth and perception and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like basically she got, like super serum, and so she's just like, how do I use a gun? I don't need to use a gun. I don't need like empathy, and like like her melee went up and her guns went down, and she just like doesn't care about lying anymore. She just doesn't care, like I don't know, I'm kind of having fun with it. So
Love it.
I am min-maxing to like literally be able to throw a car. I'm just look at my sheet right now. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I made a fast noodle boy who notices things.
That's
Not
one way
sure.
to put it.
Well, celerity. I didn't put anything into strength. It's all dex. Celerity dex build.
I went from a 1 strength to a 5 strength. Like I totally like flipped it like crazy. It's very intense.
Oh, did you already spend your freebie points on that?
Oh, I didn't spend any freebie. We get freebie points?
We will be getting
Yeah,
freebie
at the
points,
end.
but yeah, the you can go higher than 5 or than 3 for attributes. Abilities you can't.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also
Yeah,
gets
no,
very weird
abilities I
with
got.
you.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of all of my fighting abilities. I'm gonna need you a lot.
I lowered my knowledges quite a bit, and I'm just like, what does she remember? I was like,
Oh,
1 dot
no.
and a couple of things.
I I'm s- I'm going obfuscate route. Like, if you find me, I'm fucked. But you're gonna have to find me first.
Don't worry. I'll distract them.
All right. So does anybody have any questions about the abilities and attributes section? I'm not going to go into each one, but you got your talents, your skills, your knowledges. And normally, the way that I try and remember to do it is that if you don't have a point in knowledge, you can't really do much with it. I might give you a roll at difficulty plus like 3 or something, but talents you can do even if you don't have them. And then skills are usually like you can do them, but you have them at like a higher difficulty. Um, Usually +1 or +2.
Well, let me put this in a meta sense, because we're like theoretically we are, Tycho Vance is sitting at a computer terminal, like kind of designing this clone.
Right.
Do we know anything about this mission where, like, I don't know, maybe there's going to be a lot of animals around? So he'd want to choose Animal Ken for some strange reason?
Um,
Do
I
we know
mean, it's
anything that
inside
would
the city
indicate,
of.
like,
The one thing that you do know that your first mission technically is going to be going to the Elysium, meeting up with the Tremere at the Elysium, and then her introducing you to um, the other vampires and giving you an introduction.
Yeah, but is Elysium at the like aquarium and or zoo?
Oh no, the Elysium
Okay.
is at a is underneath a bar in downtown Madison.
Okay, so it looks like Enchanted-esque um Animal Kindred, which is from the movie Enchanted, which like she sang a song and all she got was like cockroaches, pigeons, and like cats and rats. So like city animals, you know, is my impression. Is that correct?
Yeah, you'd have a lot of
Like
city animals. Yep, like
yeah, like
rats and
those
mongoose and
Mongoose?
Yeah.
Are
Oh
we
yeah.
in like
Like-
Mumbai? Like
They're not mongoose. The fuck are they? The
What are you even
possum.
thinking of?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
of.
possums.
Possum.
Yeah,
Possums?
there's some possums around.
I mean, I was thinking like maybe raccoons.
Raccoons.
Oh hell yeah, there's lots of raccoons in this town.
there's my husband actually saw a raccoon a couple of years ago follow the crosswalk signal in the middle of the night.
Yeah, they're fucking smart.
They are just like he was like, I'm a skinny ass raccoon. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. I know what that light means. And he did not get run over by any of the cars. He
That's
just
so
waddled
funny.
on by.
That's funny. All right. So next is choosing disciplines, which you guys have already done, kind of. So you get 3 dots for disciplines. The next thing that you get is 5 dots in backgrounds. So there are a lot of backgrounds, but comparatively, they're not as much as like Mage the Ascension. So, and a lot of this you might even, we might. Well, I guess you could keep some of your stuff if you want to
Well-
bring over contacts or allies.
Yeah, it's
which
kind of
actually-
like do these characters have backgrounds? Because we're making them.
Yeah, should we like just dump them all like in
Um,
general backgrounds? First of all, what page is backgrounds on?
So one thing that we
PDF
could do
113.
if we want to force this to a certain degree, the only thing that I would say is maybe we have you guys spend on resources and other stuff, but maybe I just make you all eighth generation vampires, and you just are forced to spend all of your backgrounds on generation.
Wouldn't that power level like set off a lot of red flags in this town?
Generation isn't necessarily even known by like the vampire world has kind of gotten to a point where you don't really know what everybody's generation is. People claim to be this or that, but only a Tremere using blood magic will be able to tell you for sure what somebody's
And
generation is.
13 is when you get thin bloody, right?
13 is starting to get a little thin bloody, but 14 is the real thin blood.
Okay.
13 is just you're still considered a full-on vampire, and you can get all of the dots and or up to 5 in stuff for disciplines and.
I mean, do we all have to pick like? Aren't we going to have like a Tremere ally?
But that would
Like-
not be an ally. That's there's no background for vampire friends, basically. But there's allies, alternative identity, which actually alternative identity I would say you could have. I mean, contacts, you could bring over contacts that you already have and be like, I'll just be calling myself this for a little while. Domain, you definitely won't have, which is your feeding grounds acknowledged by the Kindred Society. Unless there's something specific that you want to be like, maybe the Tremere could assist you with that, if there's like a portion of Madison you want to feed. But really, that's going to be a rough one to role play out. Fame, once again, I mean, maybe with a little bit of time magic and stuff like that, we might be able to seed a persona on the internet that's famous, but.
But I think that would be more alternate identity. Like, aren't we just making this all up? Like it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be real. Because there's that identity one.
alternate identity. You could definitely have
Yeah.
alternate identity, I think, because that's just complete with documentation.
Because I mean, like number 2 is like you're well grounded in the alternate identity. You are convincing enough to play the part of a doctor, lawyer, drug smuggler, or spy.
Right.
Like,
Oh, so if we took maybe if 2 dots in alternate identity, anytime our fake character, because this is our alternate identity,
yeah.
anytime it's challenged, we could throw those 2 dots onto our die roll.
That's true, yeah. If you wanted to
And how-
make it even harder to.
I mean, my question for allies is like, how hard are we going to be able to be like, we know Joe Schmo Tremere, or are we not allowed to talk to him at all?
he will be introducing you to you will meet up with him, and then he'll introduce you at the Elysium.
So if I can throw this out here because I've only played vampire like half a campaign, I would think to not make our generation super crazy, but like still like kind of cool, is that like probably one an ally and two an alternate identity just for like
Well, the allies
unless
is
you want to give
mortal
us free
confidants.
shit.
That's not vampires. So you don't have to spend for the Tremere that you know.
He's just
Um,
automatic, so that's like
yeah,
free.
and technically
Okay.
your alternate identity that you're making right now is also free. If you wanted an alternate identity, you would. So I'm not going to force you to take anything. Um,
Can
it'd be hard
we
to explain
convert?
some things, but I think we can work it out. The only one that would be kind of hard would maybe be Fame. Herd is kind of another one. But that would be kind of hard. Influence is definitely possible. It's still a little bit, you'd have to figure out a roleplay way to explain it. Mentor, that's going to be one that, that's the one that could be that could be this Tremere, but I'm not going to have her be your mentor. Um, so that's another hard one to kind of justify unless you can maybe use the Tremere or something like that. Like maybe you get like the special bond with the Tremere right away. Like this can also be retroactive, as in the sense like if you want domain, maybe it's when you're like arrive, you also declare where your domain is, and everybody's like that's fine, and that just for role playing reasons, we can actually have it be in the future when you get it. You didn't start with it technically.
I have a
Herd as
quick
well.
question.
Yep.
Like, so we're getting introduced, but where are we saying we're from?
I believe the idea that I kind of had was we're gonna have like the concept that you're coming from New York, because New York's a gigantic domain. It would be easier to probably, you know, it'd be harder for people to get in contact with the harpy and stuff like that over there. And even so, it's so big, it's very possible you just fell through the cracks and stuff like that.
Because we could start like a campaign to like make like Petrie famous for their like I don't know new street drug or something like that. So if they call New York and they're just like, oh, go to this club and see if random Joe Schmo knows what like street X is, like that kind of thing. There's some things that we could do like all through social media for like a week or something, and before we even jump in the bodies, to just justify a couple of these things. So we have like a better than just like manipulating records. Like we could actually have it be that like we are these people almost. It's still manipulating records, but it's just an idea.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, you could fill that out even more with yeah, if you grabbed some fame or something like that, it could help justify your character being more um, known in New York per se, and therefore but usually fame is also the one thing that it would be status. That would be the one thing that you'd probably be looking for if you're doing something like that. Like you want to be known in the vampire circle, or fame. I guess you could if you want to be known in the human world. Um, retainers would be also a hard one. Resources is an easy one, and then there's generation. That's one. So every dot that you put into generation allows you to use see here, you get one more blood point. So you start at 13. 13th generation is what you are. If you put one dot into it, you get 12th generation. At 12th generation, you get 11 blood pool instead of 10. And it's kind of there. It's almost the one thing about generation that sucks is that it never goes up unless you diablerize somebody by stealing their soul.
Hmm.
And they have to be a lower generation than you. So generation is the one that a lot of players either put 5 dots in it or no dots in it. Maybe a few dots, for flavor or something, if they dominate might be, but you can never boost it up. It only costs the same as everything else. Um, and so generation is an easy one to throw a bunch of dots at. Um,
I mean, I think from what I'm understanding is like it's like let's throw it all at generation, and then the other backgrounds we can kind of justify through our just being technocrats, and we did it as technocrats, and then we became vampires, and we made sure to get these higher level vampire samples is kind of what I'm understanding thematically.
I mean, yeah, there's different. I mean, you can also spend freebie points. Background points are one freebie point each, so.
I think I'm just gonna dump all in generation right now. I mean, personally, for her, since we don't have to buy the ally or the alternate identity.
Yeah, are we just getting those?
Yes, you don't have to spend in order to create your character, and you already know the Shamir. There is no dots for how many vampires you get to know beginning.
We magicked
What?
that.
Well, I'm just saying if it comes up mechanically at some point, are we going to be able to roll like extra dice for having that ally on our backgrounds?
An ally is mortal. Once again,
What would it be then? Contact?
I mean,
For
if you
the
wanted to
for the
use her
Tremere?
like a contact, then yes. If you wanted to use her as a mentor, yes, you would have to have the mentor. If you wanted to constantly be contacting her for specific, but once again, and contacts are almost always mortal too. Let's double check that though. No, it's just this information source.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need contacts for what I want to be able to accomplish. I don't necessarily need allies, but contacts are necessary for me for information.
But do we maybe buy that with background points and all get to like 8th generation? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of up to the GM here how he wants to structure it because theoretically we are still Technogate. We're building
Yes.
these bodies and characters. So as long as it's not something that we're immediately going to get like challenged for, like being 8th generation, just giving us a little bit of extra blood pool makes sense for who we are. Um, but if it takes away from other possibilities, because it feels like we don't really have any other possibilities.
I have an alternate identity that is incognito.
So you're going to create another identity on top of Mel
Yes,
Walter?
there's going to be, yep, there's going to be me as a venture, and then there's going to be another guy. It's not me when I'm doing shady shit or something. I don't know how to use him yet. Maybe I won't, but he's there.
You're
Yeah, I mean the other ones are harder to justify unless you kind of get them later or, but I mean, if you've got an idea, I'm always willing to listen. Um, I'm gonna say for the purposes of this, I'm not gonna restrict you guys. You can have, we'll figure out a way to role play it in to justify why you would have fame or why you would have retainers or herd or domain or status.
I feel like status is the only one that would be useful.
Status
Yeah.
would be useful in the sense of if one of you had status, then you could. I mean, it would be that the Tremere basically is messing with things in order to make it so that there's documentation in the vampire world. that says that you're,
Yeah.
vampires.
Yeah, which I feel would be like not my character.
Yeah.
Oh, it
I
would
put like a dot or
definitely
two
be
into
me.
fame just so that people knew that I'm selling, but I'm not going to do status. Yeah.
I think I would do status because I could easily create the myth of the Toreador who is looking for occult objects, and he's been known by many names, but now he goes by Cashvoir.
I mean, Mel could have a small one dot herd that is just more clones that we made for him.
Like a pile of bards. Screw it. I'm putting status in my backgrounds.
How many freebie points do we get total?
You get a total of
15.
15.
15?
Yep,
Okay.
and it's 5
And
for an
the
attribute, 2 for an ability. This is page 82. 5 for an attribute, 2 for an ability, 7 for a discipline, 1 for a background, 2 for virtue, 2 for humanity or path, and 1 for willpower. Real quick, the next one that we're gonna do real quick though. So that's your backgrounds. I'll let you guys kind of decide on that. And moving on though, we will go to your virtues. You get 7 points in your virtues. So your virtues are going to be conscience, self-control, and courage, and you walk the path of humanity. So courage directly goes to your willpower. So if you you start with 1 dot in courage. If you get 7 dots to spend here, so you could go 4 dots in courage, 3 in self-control, 3 in conscience, and if you did that, you would have a humanity of 6 and a willpower of 4. Willpower is pretty self-explanatory. You guys have used that before. It allows you to spend get an automatic success by spending a willpower point, or usually to like fend off mind attacks, stuff like that. Humanity is a little bit of a different beast. So in this game, you're trying to actually hold on to your humanity. So if you have no humanity, you're considered a monster. If you have 1 humanity, you're considered horrific. Bestial at 2, cold, unfeeling, then distant at 5, removed at 6, normal at 7, caring at 8, compassionate at 9, and saintly at 10. This is a combination of your conscience and self-control. So if you have 3 and 3, then you will have 6 in humanity. And then you have certain things that you have to abide by. At humanity 0, you must sleep, you must feed, you must kill. Players may not run a character with humanity 0. Vampires at this state are completely lost to the beast. If you have 1 point in humanity, only normally sentient kindred with humanity 1 teeter on the edge of oblivion. Little matters to the vampire that has gone this far, even their own desire outside the substance and rest. There's literally nothing a vampire with humanity 1 won't do, and only a few tattered sheds of ego may stand between him and completely being completely devolved. Many who attain this stage find themselves no longer capable of coherent speech and spend their nights gibbering blasphemously in the gore-scattered heavens. Okay. What? So that's interesting because how do you
which one were you
lose
just reading?
How do you go from humanity 1 to humanity 0? Normally
That would be pretty hard, honestly.
apparently it's very hard. it's so hard it's really left up to the storyteller probably to be like, okay, I think you've gone so far over the deep end that you now are just unplayable.
Are we? Do you roll humanity for something? Like,
Yes. Well, you roll
okay.
conscience. So conscience comes into whenever you do something. So let's say that let me get to one that actually has something that you would roll for. So level 3 and 2. The lives and properties of others are irrelevant to the kindred that has gone this far. The vampire likely indulges in twisted pleasures. Few vampires retain this low level physically changes.
Let me know if you want me to read anything.
Where is the hierarchy of sins?
I'm betting that's somewhere else.
Using hierarchies.
We need to find the humanity path. Let me check the
Yeah,
index.
so humanity path is 311. Oh, here we go. Sorry, here's the hierarchy of sins. Level 1 is utter perversions or hideous acts. Level 2, casual violation, thoughtless killing, feeding past substance. Level 3 is planned violation, outright murder, or so basically, like at level 3, if you had 3 in humanity, you could do anything that's above that. But when you do something that's either a planned violation, a casual violation, or an utter perversion, you would roll conscience. If you succeed in your conscience roll, you feel bad for what you did. So you could still murder people, but as long as you feel bad for your planned murder, you're fine. You're not going to lose humanity, and that's your conscience roll. As soon as you fail a conscience roll, you no longer feel bad for doing that thing, and therefore you no longer are at that level of humanity because it no longer means anything to you.
Now, that also counts when you're forced to do those things by frenzying, right?
Yes.
So
You still have to
if
feel
you,
bad for doing the thing that you did.
yeah, but the point is like if you can't feed for a while and your frenzy causes you to do, let's say, an utter perversion, you're probably going to lose a humanity.
Unless you succeed on a conscience roll.
Yeah, unless you feel bad about it.
Yep.
Also, I think the difficulty would be higher if you do like lower on the scale.
Yeah, the farther
Or is it?
away it gets, it can get like basically if you have 10 in humanity and you do an utter perversion, that's going to be like a difficulty of 9, maybe 10.
Well, I look forward to learning all about how to play vampire
But yeah, so
from the perspective of a mage.
and then so then after you guys spend your virtues, then you get your that starts your path in humanity, and your willpower. Your blood pool is a 1d8 to start with, plus actually for this I'm just going to start you all with 10
Yeah, I was
or
gonna
max.
say we should have.
Probably max.
I feel through the power of science we can give ourselves an advantage on that.
Yeah. And other than that, you get your 15 freebie points.
Well, there's a lot of blood boxes. What's considered max? All this?
Max is based on your generation.
Yep. So it's 10 plus your generation, points in generation. So if you're an 8th generation, you have 15 blood pool.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. They have a movement thing in here.
Yeah. Walk speed, jog speed, run speed. Cool.
Okay, and
Is that dynamic?
We have 7 virtue dots, and we roll which ones which times.
So conscience will be rolled whenever you have to defend your humanity. Self-control will be used whenever you want to stop yourself from frenzying or going into Roshrek.
Okay.
And then courage is used whenever well, courage would be for Roshrek. Self-control would be for so if you want to not make yourself run the fuck away from fire, you'd be rolling courage. Self-control
Courage.
would be when you're about to frenzy because you see blood splattered across the wall and you're hungry. All right, so I think that brings us to pretty much wrap up here. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap things up? And then we'll start off next week with a little bit of, I think, role playing into getting into these things, and then we'll get you to the Elysium.
I just have one quick question because I'm just not seeing it. There's an equation that you do to get your humanity from how you picked your virtues, and then I'll be good
Yep.
for.
So it's your conscience plus self-control equals your humanity, and your courage equals your willpower.
Okay, so it starts us off with 5 on the sheet. So the courage is extra willpower.
No, the courage
Uh,
is it
no.
should. Yeah, I don't know why it starts you off with 5 in the beginning, but courage is what your actual willpower will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's
gonna-
notable though that the freebie points, it says you can just buy willpower.
Yeah.
Yes, it's one dot, I believe, for
Yeah, it's 1-to-1.
1-to-1 for that.
Oh, you can buy humanity too. 2
You
per
can
die.
buy humanity and you can buy virtues, but if you do buy virtues, it doesn't go into this equation. So that's the reason why humanity is separate.
Really? Oh,
Let
that's
me
weird.
undo a will. Oh, there we go. You have to press the one before it. Weird. All right. I don't know. I'm at 6. I think that's fine. This is a piece of reality deviant trash that's going to be thrown away eventually. Like, I don't.
Maybe you will find what it feels like to have humanity now.
I'm gonna buy like a discipline or something. Like, I'm just, I think yes, she will have deep thoughts maybe when she goes back into Gretchen Fury, but I mean she's named Greta Anger for a reason. So I will go from there. Actually, I will change it. I'll have even less.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap things up? All right.
Nope.
So that concludes the creation of your clone, and then you guys go into some kind of like pod thing that allows you to jump into the mind of this newly created vampire.
Nana and Pop Pop. That's what they're there for. You jump in.
All right. Thank you all for playing. Thank you all for listening, and have a great night.
Night, everyone.
Bye.